Welcome to Global Speakers Talk. My name is JB Herrera, and I'm your host for today. Our theme today is simple, but it asks something profound of each of us. What is your one thing, the true source of your power? For me, that answer has roots in my own story. I grew up between two worlds. My parents were of Mexican descent, yet I was raised in America in a way that distanced me from language and traditions of my heritage, and I never felt fully aligned with either world. I was always an outsider looking in. But over time, that space between the worlds gave me a gift. It taught me that I didn't need to belong to a mold to find my place. What mattered most was authenticity, living in alignment with values and truth, not appearances. And through that, I found my one thing, an unwavering belief that life unfolds as it is intended. That things turn out well when you see them through that perspective, no matter what happens in your life. And that faith has carried me. It keeps me young. It keeps me curious. It keeps me learning. And it keeps me focused on other people. And that's the true source of my power. That conviction shapes not only who I am, but the work I lead. Today, I serve as the CEO of two companies. And our mission is to essentially build technology that is ethical by design. We believe that technology should never replace humans, but instead support and expand the foundational principles that make us human, our creativity, our relationships, and our sense of purpose. And in a world that races towards automation, our belief is clear: technology must serve humanity. It must help us grow into our best selves, not diminish who we are. And that's why this conversation matters so deeply. Because the real source of power, our one thing, is never about the tools we create. It's always about the values we hold, the choices we make, and the humanity we refuse to lose sight of. And today you're going to hear from voices from around the globe who have discovered their own. Each speaker will bring a story, an insight, a moment of clarity that defines what power means to them. Now, as you listen, I invite you to not just hear their words, but to look inward. What is your one thing? What is the power that keeps you moving, learning, and serving? Because in a world of distraction and division, finding and living from that one thing may be the most powerful act of all. Okay, our first speaker today knows that sales isn't about scripts or pressure, it's about authenticity. Robert Triggs is a sales performance and mindset mentor who helps B2B leaders and entrepreneurs sell with confidence, not fear. Through his unique approach, he shows that true power in sales comes from within, from clarity, resilience, and the courage to connect as a human being. His work is not just about hitting numbers, it's about transforming how people see themselves as and the impact that they have. So today, Robert brings us his perspective on what it means to lead with authenticity and to find your one thing in the world of sales. Please join me in welcoming Robert Triggs. Robert, welcome.
Really appreciate that introduction.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. As you said, sales is one of those things that you either are a fan or not of. There's almost no gray area. And my career took a very unlikely path. So I started off my career as a service technician working for Xerox. Most people know the company of Xerox. And I enjoyed servicing equipment. I found that I was there to help my customers. And that was at the core of who I am. I love helping people. And so that career path of being a service technician led me to the training department at Xerox many years ago. And while I was there, they said, there's something about you. I know you're a service technician, but I think you should be in sales. And I said, no way. I'm not cut out for that. And they said, no. Like, you're seeing sales all wrong. I said, how do you mean? They said, well, sales is really starting to shift. It's not about telling jokes and taking people for lunch. That's part of it sometimes, but it's about helping customers make an informed decision whether or not to purchase the products or services that you have. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting perspective. And I said, I love helping people. So you know what? I'm fascinated by this. Let's do it. So I jumped in and I went into sales 27 years ago, after about 7 or 8 years of being a service technician and a service trainer. And what I learned was it's not easy. And I jumped into it and I struggled. I got some of the best training in the world I don't know if the listeners know this, but Xerox is famous for the sales training programs. In fact, they used to sell the sales training programs to other companies. It was so good. And I still live by that. It's absolutely good. But even with that amazing training, I needed something else. I wasn't succeeding. And I got about 6 months into my new sales role after being in service for 7 or 8 years. And I wasn't having the success that I really wanted to have. My paycheck was tied to my success. I had 2 children, married. I was the primary breadwinner, and I was struggling. So what did I do? I called my brother one night. He lived pretty far away at that time. And I said, you know what, Mark, I'm not feeling good about this. I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to service. I'm going to go back to my comfort zone, I would call it now. And he goes, don't do that. Let me send you this book. And the book he sent me was called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill. And at that time, I wasn't big on reading self-help material like that. I figured I can figure it out. I'm smart. I'll figure it out. But I needed something else. I needed something different. So I read this, I devoured this book, and I shifted. I shifted one thing. I was still the same person. I still had all the great training from Xerox. I had all the experience. I had all that stuff. But the one thing I changed was my mindset, the way I was thinking. A lot of my thoughts were about my identity. My identity was, I'm a service technician. I'm not a salesperson. And then whenever I interacted with a customer, I could see they didn't want to talk to me. And that was really hard to overcome. And then I just started to shift. I started to shift to putting myself in the customer's shoes and really trying to understand what it is they were wanting and needing. And that allowed me to really open up who I was as a person. So all of my walls went down. All of my sort of pretending or acting like a salesperson went away. And I was just speaking to another human. And JB talked a little bit about humanity at the beginning. And it's an interesting topic right now as AI continues to proliferate all the different roles that are out there in the world, it seems. And right now, there's an awakening, it seems, that people, men and women, are trying to be more human. And that may sound funny, but we're trying to be more human as this technology rises around us. And you see videos on YouTube of robots that look real. I even have a little robot that runs around and vacuums the floor for me. So my wife and I love watching the vacuum. I say, I'll do the vacuuming today, and off goes the robot. But we were asked today to talk about what is your one thing. So I want to zero that in for a second. I've been very successful as a salesperson. I've achieved every award you can pretty much win as a seller, as a sales manager, as a sales leader. I've helped companies grow, scale, and be acquired successfully. And there's one thing that I've learned that you need to apply, whether you're an entrepreneur trying to sell your own products and services for your company. You might be a startup, you might be a funded startup, you might be at 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to sell, and you have to get your people, the people you bring on to sell for your company. But if you're a salesperson working for a company, it's the same thing. You still have to wake up every day and go out there and do what you need to do to be successful. And then if you're a sales leader, you've got a sales team, you've got to do the same thing. So what is my one thing that I'd like to share? My one thing is this. Your thoughts that you have each day control your success. So I think Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's a very old quote, but it's so powerful. And if you dig deeper on that for a minute, when you think negatively, I'll call it negatively. When you think negatively about something, you're actually attracting that to happen. When you think positively, you're attracting that to happen. And it doesn't mean you sit there and say, I am thinking about this to happen and I want this, and it rains from the sky. What it does, if you believe this or not, what it does is it attracts from the universe the energy, the positivity, the opportunities that you need to be successful. So the way that I manifest that is, for example, as a salesperson. So let's say you have a very important meeting and you need to go into this meeting and you keep thinking about, man, I'm competing against that competitor and we always lose against that competitor. We're not going to win. I'm going to go in and talk to them anyway, but I really don't think we're going to win. So you go in with these thoughts, and then you see the customer, you're talking to them, and you think, oh, they're not really paying attention. They're distracted. Their body language isn't, positive. And these are some of the things we learn in sales training. And you just start the doubt sneaks in. And then depending on we all have self-limiting beliefs that are mainly formed from a young age. So what you're observing triggers some of these beliefs that you have, and then that reinforces it. And then you just go down this torpedo, this torpedo hole. So my one thing is this: no matter what you're trying to achieve in life, doesn't matter about sales. I'm focused on sales, but this applies to everything in life. Your thoughts are your friend, or your thoughts are your enemy. You get to decide which one you want them to be. But the more you practice thinking about the things you want to happen, believing like they already have happened, and not allowing the physical things that you visually see take you off that path, the success in life for you is there. And I'm living proof. Shy, quiet service technician, fumbling my way through sales to becoming one of the most successful salespeople that have worked for the different companies that I've worked for. So that's what I wanted to share today, is that one thing that everyone, and anyone listening to this, anyone can apply this. Whatever you're trying to achieve, visualize that. Use your imagination to visualize what you want to achieve, and then control your thoughts to move yourself towards that. And the more you apply that, the more successful you will be. And that is my one thing that I wanted to share today.
And is there an offering or something? I know there is, as I'm putting it on the screen there.
Well, again, I love helping people. So because my focus is helping salespeople or entrepreneurs who sell, I've created something I call an opportunity genie. Ooh. And what it is when you're in sales, when you're a sales manager, one thing you're responsible for is talking to your sales team and saying, which deals are closing this month, right? That's what we do. As a CEO, you have to do that sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
What are we closing? What business are we getting? And they'll say, we're getting this one. And I'll say, really? Okay. And then I'll start asking my questions. Are you dealing with the decision maker? Well, no. Do you know what the decision maker is? No. Who's the competitor? Not sure. And I would get that all the time from some of my best salespeople. So what I've done is I've created this thing called an opportunity genie. And it's 15 of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself about your opportunity to know whether you're going to win or not. It's kind of like a crystal ball. That's why I called it a genie. It's like you rub the lamp and you say, hey, genie, am I going to win this deal? And the genie says, no, you're not. It doesn't say just no, you're not. You look at the question you've answered negatively, and all you need to do is go back to that customer and turn that question into a positive. So it's almost like built-in sales training without having sales training. I think it's the best thing ever. So I put a link here and it's a free tool you can use tomorrow or right away if you want. And then I have different kinds of opportunity genies and coaching programs that I help people really focus on selling in a genuine, authentic way. And it lowers the stress and the anxiety of being in sales and trying to get business.
Wow. Thank you so much, Robert. Really appreciate the offer. And for everybody listening, whether you're live or whether you're watching this on the replay, please take a look at this. What Rob is talking about is it's a fundamental truth with a capital T. It's one of those foundational principles that when you get it, it changes your life. And if you're able to use the genies as he's created in your sales, but take it and turn it into something that you can use for the rest of your life as well. These are foundational tools. So Rob, thank you so much for the offering. Thank you so much for your message and for being here today. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, now we shift. Excuse me. Now we shift from your one controlling your thoughts to courage. Our next speaker understands that the greatest battle we face is often the one inside our own minds as well. Please join me in welcoming Jerry Roisentul, a leadership consultant, best-selling author of Don't Let Doubt Take You Out, and the founder of Champion Mentorship, Inc. Jerry didn't arrive in leadership by accident. He was walked through seasons of collapse, heartbreak, and self-doubt. And from that very place, he forged a powerful message that we don't have to be held hostage by fear. His work blends mindset, communication, and behavioral analysis to help leaders and teams break through their internal barriers that keep them stuck. His mission is not just about success, it's about transformation from the inside out. And today he's going to share with us his one thing. So please welcome Jerry Roisentul. Jerry, welcome.
Well, JB, thank you so much, my friend. It is great to be here. I'm excited to take the time to share a little bit with the audience today. And, you know, the question of the day, the theme of today, what's your one thing? And my one thing as I unpack this is really simple. You are stronger than you think. You know, when we ask people that question, what's your one thing? For some people, you might get excited thinking about it. For some people, you might feel a little bit intimidated. But I believe for every one of us, it's the question that literally shapes our life and shapes our leadership. You know, when people ask me that question, you know, what's your one thing? I always tell them that you're stronger than you think. And I can tell you that my one thing never was in a title. It wasn't about a promotion. It wasn't about a degree, a 5-step plan, anything like that. My one thing actually came down to a moment. It came down to a decision. It came down to a line that I decided to draw in the sand. It was the day that I stopped having to feel like a leader and started choosing to actually become one. It's the day that I decided to remove the grip that self-doubt had on my life. You know, doubt doesn't just come around to try and hold you back. Doubt actually tries to take you out. But if you let it, doubt is the very thing that can actually wake you up and move you into your destiny. You know, many years ago, when I was building my network marketing company, I was standing in front of my team that I was supposed to be leading. We were getting ready to do a training. And from the outside, everything looked great. You know how sometimes we put that facade on, right? I had the opportunity. I had the title. I had the passion. But inside, I felt like I was just crumbling. I questioned every decision that I made. I started to shrink in the moments that I should have actually stood up. And I started to perform leadership instead of embody leadership. And I remember sitting there looking at all of these people on my team, looking back at me. And this question kept rolling around in my mind. These people are expecting me to lead them, but I don't even feel qualified to lead myself. Does anybody understand where I'm coming from? You ever been in that place before? The place where you know what needs to be done, but you're paralyzed by that voice in your mind that says, who do you think you are? That was me. And I thought that I could just push my way through it. I thought that if I worked harder, it would actually just simply go away and vanish into the night. But working harder didn't solve it. See, it wasn't a skill problem. I realized what it was an identity problem. And here's where I really want to just kind of dig in and get real with everyone. Doubt doesn't just make us hesitate. Doubt doesn't make you hesitate. It didn't make me hesitate, but I'll tell you what, doubt almost took me out. See, there was a season in my life when pressure, self-doubt, and the sense of failure, it got so loud in my mind that I began to believe the lie that the world and everyone around me would be better off without me. And I remember one night in 2006, I got up in a cold sweat. I took a pen, a pad, and a bottle of pills. I sat on the floor of my apartment. I was going through a season of my life that was horrible, going through a divorce with my son's mom after 10 years. I went from seeing my son, who was 3 at the time, every day to seeing him twice a week, and going into this massively deep, dark state of depression, and this business that I had spent 13 years of my life pouring my blood, sweat, and tears into just sunk faster than Titanic. And there I am on the floor of my apartment, writing a letter to my son, who was 3 years old at the time, trying to tell him when he got older why his dad took his own life. All I kept thinking is, I can't do this. I'm not enough. I'm failing everywhere. That was the lowest moment of my life. The night that doubt literally almost took me out, which is why I wrote my best-selling and award-winning book, Don't Let Doubt Take You Out. But in that very dark place that I was in, I heard another whisper laying on that floor. It wasn't of doubt. It was of truth. And being a man of faith, I know that that voice that I heard in my spirit was the voice of God. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. But it said to me, this is not your finish line, Jerry. This is your new starting line. And in that moment, I made a decision not to have it all figured out, not to feel confident, but to live, to understand my one thing, that I was stronger than I thought. I decided that I was going to speak my truth boldly and to stop hiding behind a mask of leadership and start becoming the man and the leader that I was called and created to be. And that moment right there, that was my one thing. I decided I will not let doubt define me any longer. I decided I will not let fear dictate my future any longer. I decided I will not lead from wounds and scars. And what I learned was this: leadership doesn't start with your title. It starts with your truth. So you don't get power when you arrive at the platform. You don't get power when you're standing on the stage. You get power when it's built in the fire, in the challenge, in the difficulties. When you lead from your identity and not from your insecurities. When you become magnetic, you stop leading from pressure and you start leading from your purpose. You don't have to control people because your clarity inspires them. And after that moment, I began to rebuild myself from the inside out. And the process in how I rebuilt myself became the foundational framework that I now share with every single person in my coaching programs. 3 pillars that rippled out of one decision. I teach people the pillar of elevating their leadership, right? Where your mindset, your emotional intelligence, your decisions become rooted in your truth, not in fear. I teach them about how to build high-performing teams, because great leadership is what builds trust, accountability, and momentum, not just simply results. I teach them about influential communication, because if people aren't moved by your words, they are not going to be moved by your vision. But as important as those pillars are, you have to do the first thing first, and that is this: choose to trust your own voice, even when the doubts in your mind are screaming louder than your actual confidence. See, what's your one thing? What's that belief? What is that shift? What is that moment that if you owned it fully, everything would change for you? Maybe it's not a tactic. Maybe it's not hiring somebody else or doing another meeting. Maybe it's this: that you finally stop leading from fear and you start leading from conviction. You stop waiting for permission and you start walking in your purpose. You stop letting doubt whisper you out of your destiny, as it almost did to me. Because the one thing that I do know is this: your voice matters. Your leadership is needed. And no matter what you're going through, you're stronger than you think. And your doubts, those self-doubts that we all get that come into our minds all the times, right? It's not your disqualification. It is actually your invitation. It's your invitation to rise. It's your invitation to stand up, to get up, to move forward, to lead, to become the kind of leader who doesn't wait for a title because they've already made the choice. See, my friends, don't let doubt take you out. Let it call out the inner champion that lies within you, just like it did for me. And my one thing that can become your one thing is just understanding that you are stronger than you think. And when you leave here today from this great event, my prayer is that this message is something that you just won't remember the story, but you'll make a decision about your one thing. That one thing that can turn everything around for you. Because, my friends, your one thing might just be the thing that changes everything in your life as it changed mine. So I want to thank you so much. I hope that that encouraged you and inspired you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this amazing day.
Well, Jerry, I'm fired up. Okay. I love it. First of all, the message is amazing, but how can people really take advantage of that experience and wisdom that you have?
Yeah, I would, I love to reach out. I love to talk to people. I love to share with people. And, I've developed a 6-week coaching program where I actually take people through the process of elevated leadership, how to develop high level teams, and how to develop influential communication. So you can be a great leader, not only to your teams, your family, but to yourself. Mm-hmm. And so what I love to do is set up a 30-minute free discovery call. My link to set that up is on the calendar. I love to have conversations with people, see if I'm right for them, if they're right for me, and so that we can work together. But I'd love to have people, if they're interested, set up a call. You got nothing to lose. There's no obligation, just an opportunity for us to talk. And if there's a way that we can work together, great. And if there's not, at least we'll make a new friend.
I love it. So, everybody, again, who's listening to this live or later, take a look at that. Jerry's not going to get rid of that link. And the reason why is because he cares about what he's doing. He knows he has validated this principle and wants to share it with you. So here's your challenge. Get out there, take a look at the link, type it into your computer, and schedule the 30-minute call. It'll probably be the best 30 minutes that you will ever spend. So Jerry, thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate your message. And looking forward to staying in touch. Absolutely.
Yes, JB. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, now continuing on that theme, our next speaker invites us to look at risk in a whole new way. In times of uncertainty, what separates leaders who shrink from those who step forward is not fearlessness, but riskability. Our next speaker is a master of this kind of leadership. Please join me in welcoming Tom LeNoble, an international speaker, resilience coach, and CEO of the Academy for Coaching Excellence. He's the creator of the Riskability Factor, a leadership framework designed to help people move beyond risk avoidance into smart, purpose-driven action. This tool, he helps leaders assess their relationship to risk and build courage to lead boldly amid ambiguity. Over his career, Tom has led through corporate halls and startup trenches alike at organizations like Facebook, Walmart, Palm, and in mission-driven ventures as well. So today, Tom's going to take us into his one thing, how leaders can transform uncertainty into momentum, anchored in purpose and presence. So please welcome Tom LeNoble. Tom, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, JB. It's so great to be here today. What a wonderful opportunity for people to learn from some of the leaders who've set the stage for what you can do in your life and find your one thing.
Absolutely.
What's your one thing? Your true source of courage and strength. I want to know, have you found it yet? You know, I live by something that means so much to me. Every storm runs out of rain. I heard this first during one of the darkest moments of my life, and I didn't believe the storm would pass. You know, when you're in the middle of the storm, when the wind is howling and the rain is pounding, and you can't see 2 feet in front of you, you know, it feels like it will never end. But storms always move on. The sun will always shine again. In fact, it was always shining behind that storm. And sometimes those storms leave behind the richest soil for something beautiful to grow. That soil begs you to ask the question, what will I plant? This is where the seeds of philanthropy can take root. Today, I want to share my journey through 3 acts from my book. The book is My Life in Business Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. And how each one taught me not just how to survive the storms of life, but how to choose to give from them. Let's start with the business suit. You know, I wore the business suit. MCI, Walmart, Palm, Facebook, startups. I had the titles, I had the wealth, the offices with the views, and stock options. I thought I was in control. But you know, that control can be an illusion. Then love and curiosity knocked on my door. It didn't come with a 5-year plan or a stock option grant. It came with a whisper. What if there's more to life than this? Today I'd be worth, yes, right now I calculated this morning, I'd be worth $250 million right here with you today if I hadn't sold the stock. That Facebook stock, and that's not counting the interest, but I sold it and I don't regret it for a moment. I sold what I had, and I realized if I kept chasing that illusion, I'd never discover the reality of who I could become. What I didn't know was that my next storm was already on the horizon. The hospital gown. Life stripped me of my business suit, and it replaced it with a hospital gown. You know, that flimsy little piece of fabric that never ties in the back. 2 life-threatening diagnoses. One I was told was terminal. Not once, but 3 times I've been given 6 months to live. 6 months to live, 3 times. In a short time, I went from leading others to waiting for test results. And today, I've lived with metastatic cancer for 13 years. And as I fondly say, I'm still here. It was through this that I learned about something I call terrible gifts. You know, those gifts of life that you never choose yourself, but they can change you forever. An event happens in your life. You know, you may have had one, or you certainly know somebody who has. And somehow one day, a month, a year, 10 years, you see that it had a gift for you, something that made you who you are today. You know, I did the silent retreats, I did all the deep inner work, but I had a spiritual awakening that came not with fireworks, but from stillness. This is when my definition of philanthropy shifted, because I began to see that giving isn't just about what you leave behind. It's not about what leaves your hand. It's about what leaves your heart. I learned about the philanthropic mindset. It's not about your name on a building or attending the next gala. did you realize that even your smile or a simple hello can be your gift of philanthropy? And I learned not to ask, how much time do I have, but what will I do with the time that I have? And those high heels, now, how do you get from a hospital gown to high heels? Well, those high heels were the symbol of living unapologetically, fully, even if people stare. For me, it meant stepping onto stages, telling stories. You know what? You're going to have to read the book to find out more about those heels. All three of these, which seem like three different lives, are really one. You see, all the parts of your life, even the parts that you may feel shame, fear, they're private, or somebody just won't understand. All those parts of your life led you to who you are today. And indeed, without one of them, you just might not be who you are today. It led me to the philanthropic mindset. Today, I serve underserved communities, youth in the arts, first-generation students, current women's issues, hunger, and so much more. Women who are discharged for domestic violence from hospitals. We offer them Pilates or acupuncture to reacquaint with their bodies. And one of my favorites, a woman in Oakland, California, who sees at-risk boys on the street and teaches them the saxophone to give them an identity. We just make it possible for her to teach more at-risk boys the saxophone. You know, recently I sent this check to a youth arts program here on Maui. I thought nothing about it. I knew that I was giving scholarships to kids that would never be able to participate. But my surprise was when the hand-colored thank you note showed up in the mail that all the children made. It meant more to me than any check I could ever write. All of this meant modeling generosity as a lifestyle, what I call planting trees for which I will never see the shade of, or creating a ripple effect in the lives of others that I will know nothing about, trusting that in giving to them, they in turn one day will give to others. I want to share with you one of my favorite things. It's the simple dandelion. I even use it for my logo. You know, they call it a weed. In the dandelion, I see resilience. It will grow through the cracks in concrete. It will take root where no one ever expects. You can even poison it, and it will return again and again and again. And when the wind blows, it spreads far and wide. Be a dandelion. Spread your gifts far and wide. You know, that's what storms do. The storms of life. They break the ground open. They make the soil fertile. When that happens in your life, I ask this question: what will you plant? Will you plant bitterness, regret, or will you plant generosity, courage, and love? Will you learn to use risk, resilience, and reinvention, the things that I use in my practice as a coach, a speaker? Here's my invitation to you. Trust those terrible gifts in your life. Give what you have, whether it's your time, your talent, or your treasure, because you can be someone else's miracle. And every storm runs out of rain. And when it does, you have the chance to plant something extraordinary. So I ask you today, what's your one thing? Your true source of courage and strength? Well, maybe it's just what you plant in those times that require risk, resilience, and reinvention, and how you serve others, even if just your smile. I'm so grateful to be with you today. I'm grateful for Anshu and JB for leading this and for your attendance and what you'll take away from the talks today and use in your life. Use in your one life to express your one thing. Remember, today is the day. Many of us lived in what happened yesterday. Never forget there are no do-overs. If you can learn from it, take that time. Otherwise, be right here. Yes, be here now. Right here is where the magic is. You know, I love using these things in my coaching practice. I have something I call the haystack method. You know, people talk about it all the time. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Well, I think you have your answers. The needle. My job is simply to hold the space for you to remove your hay so you can find that answer. It's been great being with you today. JB, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Oh, you don't get to do that so soon, Tom. We want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what your four fundamental core ideas are. We want them to get the book. We want them to read that last chapter because now I have to find out what's going on with the high heels, right? So please tell us a little bit about how people can reach out to you and what they can get from you in their daily lives.
Yes, you can find me on all the socials, or my website is a great place to go, tomlenoble.com. And you're right there. You can see it on the banner. You can get a sneak peek of the book if you'd like to know a little bit more about it. It's launching in just a few weeks. I'm so excited about it. You can also find other things there on the coaching page. You can have a complimentary discovery coaching call with me. You can also look at some tools I offer called the Riskability Factor to assess your level of risk and how you might use it in your life.
Oh, I love that. This is, you've reframed the terrible gifts that we receive in life and turning that into something where we can find that needle in the hay for ourselves. That idea that our power grows when we meet uncertainty with our presence and purpose is something I know that I'm going to carry with me. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom, for being here today. Really appreciate it.
It was great to be here. Thank you, JB.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Well, our next speaker embodies resilience in a profound way. He is a living embodiment of transformation from the darkest valleys to the finish line of possibility, literally. Please join me in welcoming Todd Crandall, the original sober triathlete, 126-time Ironman, counselor, entrepreneur, and founder of Racing for Recovery. His journey is nothing short of extraordinary. After decades of addiction and heartbreak, he chose a different path, one rooted in healing, resilience, and purpose. He turned his pain into power, not by running away from his past, but by running toward his future. He's authored multiple books, and his mission is to support individuals battling addiction and destructive behaviors. But what's really remarkable is that Todd doesn't just preach resilience, he embodies it. Every mile he's raced, every person he's counseled, every life he's touched is a testament to his one thing, the belief that our greatest power is to rise, rebuild, and become a bridge for others. So Todd, please come onto the stage. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, how are you? Sorry, thought I was coming on at 11:15. I apologize.
No worries.
I'm here. It's great to be with everybody today. I love this topic. What is your one thing? And my one thing is for not only for myself, I want it for the world. I want everybody to find their life's purpose. Finding my life's purpose gave me a whole new view on life. It gave me a new perspective on life. Obviously, it gave me a new purpose on life. It actually gave me life. So let me explain what that means. I'm the survivor of my mom's suicide from her drug and alcohol addiction, my uncle's suicide to his drug and alcohol addiction, my aunt's suicide to her food addiction. the history of suicide and self-destruction on my birth mother's side of the family is off the hook, as they say. I grew up basically just not feeling good. And what do I mean about not feeling good? I'm not talking about physically. I felt just emotionally disconnected. I didn't feel worthy of anything. I didn't feel I belonged. Even in my own family, I do have a stepmom and still do have a wonderful dad, loving friends, parents, everything around me that should seem like to be enough, but it wasn't internally. So I got involved with drugs and alcohol, had a 13-year horrific drug and alcohol addiction, everything that comes with drug usage. I don't really want to get into details of that. If you want details of that, I've written 6 books on that subject. But most importantly, what I'm talking about here was I had no purpose in my life. I had no direction. I thought I was going to be a pro hockey player at one point. My choice to use drugs kind of derailed that. And my purpose in life at that point became self-destructing to the point that I wasn't living to eventually find my life's purpose, or my one thing, as we're talking about today. So after 13 years of all this misery, I, by the grace of God, and I'd like to include my mom in there, I was given the greatest gift of my life at that point, and that was to receive a 3rd drunk driving charge on April 15th of 1993. I think I registered a 0.36 on a breathalyzer, which, for those of you that know, a 0.40 is legally dead. But I didn't look at that moment as a negative thing. I wasn't mad I received that DUI. Quite honestly, I wasn't mad when I had to go to jail to serve the consequences of the choice to drink and drive. I was grateful that I didn't kill anybody drinking and driving, grateful that I had an opportunity to save my own life, to begin understanding the impact of trauma and why people self-destruct with food or gambling or cutting or what have you. So it was a gift that then led me to my one thing, which is finding my life's purpose with my nonprofit, Racing for Recovery. But for the first couple years of my sobriety, I was just focusing on getting better physically, getting better spiritually, getting better emotionally, educationally, socially. I just wanted to be a better person. And through that self-betterment, having had that athletic background that I was talking about, I started doing this crazy thing called the Ironman triathlon. And the Ironman consists of a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and then you finish with a 26.2 marathon run. And I am actually in Augusta, Georgia, doing my 128th, I think, Ironman event tomorrow. And it was through doing these Ironmans that our local newspaper decided to run a story on me back in 2001. I had just come back from Ironman New Zealand. If you haven't been to New Zealand, I highly recommend you go. And the local newspaper, as I said, ran a story about my life, and the response from that newspaper article was overwhelming. I had my former hockey coach called me, friends of my parents, former drug users that I had associated with, people writing me letters, from jails, from all over the country, of people that I had lost touch with. And they all said 2 things. I can't believe you're alive, and I can't believe you're doing what you're doing in your sobriety. So this is where my one thing culminated into actually finding my life's purpose. And I decided at that moment, I could take my life, the good and the bad, and do something in it to serve other people. And that's when I founded Racing for Recovery in 2001. And since then, I've just been doing my one thing, living my life's purpose. And that is to make Racing for Recovery the best it can be. We do an annual 5K run the way Race for the Cure is done for breast cancer. We have a staff of over 30 professional counselors now that are providing family counseling, group counseling, individual counseling. We have a plant-based chef. We have 2 gyms. We have spiritual groups. It has turned into not a drug treatment center per se, but a mental wellness living institution that is full of love. It's full of compassion. It's full of integrity. It's full of perseverance. It's an example of what you can do when you're sober that eventually will lead to your one thing, which again is finding your life's purpose. I believe as human beings, when we finally can find our life's purpose and do something with that life's purpose. Now, notice I didn't say just find it. I said find it and then do something of service to other people. I think that's where we are truly here to shine. And I have been fortunate enough to be living in that one thing for over 24 years. I look forward to the next 24 years of living my one thing. It's the greatest feeling in the world. Next to the birth of my 4 amazing kids, living in my one thing with my life's purpose is a better rush than finishing an Ironman, having a master's degree, traveling the world, all these things. All of these things that I've been fortunate enough to persevere and accomplish, they are because I've been living my one thing, which is to be of service to other people through racing for recovery. And that, my friends, is my one thing and how I live it and how thankful I am to be living it.
Implementation, right? The one, I think it's an amazing implementation of the purpose, right? Many people can talk about, oh yeah, I found it. And then, it's like singing in the shower. You're not going to make any money or become a popular singer by singing in the shower.
You're spot on. And I think a lot, and I see this, I've witnessed it firsthand. People have a tendency to, and I don't like using this word success, but when you become successful, and what I determine successful is, it's not all about money. They see the travel, the health, the whatever. And I don't think they equate to how much work it takes to get to the level of the panel that we've been fortunate to listen to today. Things aren't handed to us. Opportunities are handed to us. And sometimes we create our own opportunities, but the main thing is you have to work. And it's a consistent work that enables us to be on groups like this today. And that's what I want the audience to know. It's not easy, but it's definitely doable.
Absolutely. Todd, I mean, I got to tell you, this is really inspirational. I'm literally going through a golden high school reunion weekend right now. And what you've just imparted to the audience is exactly what I know from working with and living with and talking with these guys I haven't seen in 50 years. It's an amazing experience. Thank you so much for being here. I feel very honored.
Likewise. It's a privilege. Yeah. I love listening to everybody's one thing, and it's all the same kind of concept, basically with a different face, sharing it. But I appreciate being on with you guys today. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Is there any way that people can get in touch with you or can take advantage of the ecosystem that you've created?
Absolutely. I should have typed it in the chat. Sorry, but racingforrecovery.org, toddcrandall.com. My books are on Amazon. You can find me there. Social media, I'm on Instagram at Sober Ultraman. I answer everything personally. So if you contact me, you're not going to hear from an AI robot or anything like that. You're going to hear from me personally. But all kidding aside, I know somebody who's watching this right now is either personally going through a battle, has a family or a friend who's doing it. It's not just about substance abuse. To me, it's about mental wellness and living your best life. If you want to live your best life, I'm the guy to help you do so. So get a hold of me.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody. You've heard some really, really awesome things that Todd's been talking about today. We live in a divided, fractured world today. And what we need to do is take advantage of these offerings that Todd and some of the other speakers have had. So your task, whether you choose to accept it or not, I don't care, is to go onto this website and identify how Todd can help you with the challenges that you have in your life. Okay?
I'm typing it right now as we speak, so people spell my name right.
There we go.
There you go.
We'll put
And
that in there
one
too.
more, racingforrecovery.org. There you go. We're
There
here
we go.
for you.
There we go. We're going to put that back up here and put them both up and show that stuff. There we go. Little short, but we have it there. So everybody, please take advantage of the offerings that Todd has. And remember, there's two components that he's talking about. Find your purpose and do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, make something happen, because you know what? The world needs your voice. The world needs your example. They need to model what you can do and what you can provide to people. You never know. You are that center pebble in a pond that ripples out. How many people, how many thousands of people or tens of thousands of people has Todd reached, affected in their lives because he simply just did it. And you can too.
You know, I do want to say this. When I do these types of talks, I could talk for hours and hours, right? But I wanted to give enough to get the conversation going, which I appreciate. Here's another thing I want people to understand. You could be in your darkest hours, darkest months, darkest years, for me, darkest decades, and not be able to see the light on the other side.
Mhm.
And I'm here to tell you that we have the ability to turn our own light switch on. And I want you to embrace that power, knowing there's a light switch in that darkness somewhere. Keep searching for it. And once you turn that switch on, so to speak, your whole world's going to change. And again, not only for yourself, but for the betterment of mankind. And that's where the true work comes in. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't worked a real job since I started Racing for Recovery in 2001. But when I say work, I'm talking effort. It takes effort to be that professional singer, that doctor, that lawyer, that whatever you want to do. And no one's going to hand it to you. And when you work at it and it comes to fruition, it's the greatest feeling in the world, folks.
Absolutely. Well, Todd, thank you for your honesty and your inspiration.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is exactly the kind of power that this summit is about. So it's a lesson that I'm committed to living more fully, and I want to challenge the rest of the audience to do exactly the same thing. Okay, our final speaker today brings us back to the inside, to the connection between body, mind, and daily choices. He reminds us that our bodies and minds are not separate battlegrounds, they're one living system. So join me in welcoming Dr. Philip Robert Mock, functional medicine coach, MD, advocate for brain-gut health, daily habits, and holistic transformation. After more than 20 years in conventional medicine, Dr. Mock found that many of his patients and even himself were stuck. Conventional treatments often manage symptoms without addressing root causes, so he embarked on his own transformation, healing his struggles, and reconnecting the brain, his gut, and in the lifestyle. So in a world chasing external fixes, Dr. Mock's one thing is really radical. And I'd love for him to share that with you. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Philip Robert Mock. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, JB. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with all these great speakers and to be with you as well. So I really appreciate the opportunity. So for me, my one thing is all about freedom. And I used to think that healing came from a prescription pad, but I realized that freedom and healing comes from purpose, choice, and commitment and stepping into something greater. So let me take you back about my story in that I went to medical school and I graduated and I had the dream life, a dream house, wonderful wife and children, and I had a dream job. And I just poured everything into that. And, I was the authority. I had a white lab coat and I had a prescription pad, and people would come to me with all the answers, and they would ask me what was wrong, and I would write them a prescription, and they would walk out the door, and I wouldn't see them again for a long time. And then they came back with the same problems. And I said to myself, geez, it has to be more than this. I mean, more than just the power of prescriptions. And I wasn't really able to dig into their life, to what was going on, because they really weren't doing anything else except getting the quick fix. And so the thing is that on the outside, everything was wonderful. But on the inside, I was a wreck. And my life was crazy because I was living on sugar and coffee. I was not focusing on sleep. I wasn't eating well. And I couldn't even be present for my clients, my patients. And so I suffered and my body broke down. And then I was on the prescription merry-go-round. And I was labeled with 3 different illnesses. I was labeled with bipolar depression. I was labeled with attention deficit. And I was labeled with irritable bowel syndrome. And they told me that I'd have to be on medications for the rest of my life. And I'd need to see a psychiatrist to help me with my problems and with my gut health. And I was fearful. I was really frustrated, and I was lost and confused. And I said, my gosh, everything that I've been doing, my training kind of let me down. They really didn't lead me up to this. I mean, what's really going on? And I came into a moment of truth, and I had to essentially come up with the courage and the ability to choose what to do. And I knew deep down what to do, but I kind of had to look. And I looked up and I saw a sign, and the sign said pills versus purpose. On the one side was pills and prescribing pills for ills and following protocols dictated by insurance companies, which was, more comfortable because I had been doing this for a long time. And on the other side was purpose. And on the purpose side was dealing with root causes, being more uncomfortable, not familiar. And I knew deep down the road to choose, and that road to choose was purpose. And when I chose that purpose, it was through functional medicine. And I realized that you don't need another prescription, but you need a plan. And so that plan was through functional medicine. And what I decided, or what I discovered, is that I was able to discover the power of food, and I was able to look at mindset and habits and focus on lifestyle and sleep and focusing on community and really getting into understanding what was going on with people. Because really, when you look at it, the body has an amazing capability of healing itself when you give it the right things. And also, when you don't give it the right things, or when you don't take care of the body, then you tend to break down and you get chronic illness and chronic disease, things like heart disease, or things like diabetes, or things like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's dementia. These things are chronic things that happen when we don't take care of our body. So what were some of the things that I did? There were 3 steps to my healing through functional medicine. Number 1, healing the gut to free the brain. And so I realized that food is medicine, that pills or supplements are not going to heal yourself, that you can't fix what's broken with a poor diet or not exercising or not focusing on sleep. So by eating real food and ditching the processed sugar, the sugar and the processed foods, I was able to not only heal my gut, because I was able to reduce the inflammation in my gut, but I was able to free the brain, because once you heal the inflammation in your gut, you heal and you release the inflammation in the brain, so that you're able to not only feel better, but you'll have more energy and you'll be able to think more clearly. Second thing that's important is managing stress. And I think other people have mentioned this as well, but reducing negative thoughts, because we have to control our emotions and we need to be more present and mindful. And things such as meditation or breath work can certainly help in this particular realm. And the reason to focus on the brain-gut connection is because the communication between the brain and the gut is important. There's a second brain in our gut, and there's always communicating through the vagus nerve. And without getting technical, the bottom line is that by focusing on the gut health, focusing on the brain, we're looking at all the things that affect us negatively, including our thinking, because that can affect our gut health. And the food and how we metabolize our food affects our gut. And so therefore, we are doing something to improve that communication and our overall health. And number three, by stacking habits, small things daily and small wins to build confidence. And so by doing this, you get more momentum and you're able to get better healing. So I healed myself and I was able to get off all my medications and I was able to be truly free. And I realized that healing is not from a prescription pad, but healing is not about breaking free from an illness, but it's about stepping into something, stepping into the unknown, and stepping into something even when fear is greater than faith, even when you're not certain of what's going on the other side. And so it's something that you fight for. Hope is not something you wait for. Hope is something that you fight for, and it aligns with your overall values. And I found something greater. I found freedom. And I realized that with this particular amount of freedom and hope, I was able to transfer that to others. And so I now give hope and freedom so that others can heal and others can believe. And so I was able to take this method of healing and hope and make it to something greater. So I have a 4-step process. Number one is that body awareness. I think that we need to be aware of how things work. So that would be through food and through tracking energy and through tracking sleep and tracking your mood and how your body reacts to everything in general, whether it be stress or whether it be food. Second, alignment. We need to align ourselves and see patterns, and then we were able to have habits that stack up and get wins. Number three, action. Once we take action, we take a brave step forward and we're able to create things that are successful. And number four, accountability, because we need to have support not only from myself, but people need to be accountable to themselves so that they can continue to work and do the things that are successful. So my thing is that where in your life do you need to have more freedom? Freedom is not a gift, but it's a responsibility. So do you need more freedom when you choose your health? Do you need more freedom when it comes to your career? Do you need more freedom when it comes to purpose? And my thing was that hope led to freedom, freedom led to choice, and choice led to purpose. And I know that with purpose, I was able to make the right choice and I was able to give hope to others. And so I was able to have freedom, freedom to believe, freedom to hope, and freedom to give to others. And I realized that when I chose freedom, that I was realizing that freedom does not come from a prescription pad, that freedom is responsibility and it's something that aligns with our values. And so my one thing is to choose freedom and hope, which is better for yourself. And it's better to create a better freedom and better future, not only for yourself, but for others. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to choose it. I want you to claim it. I want you to fight for it because you are worth it. And so I say, live functionally and live fully. And I think other people have said, in order to live fully, you have to do certain things. And so by allowing yourself to be free, you're allowing yourself to have true freedom. You're able to give yourself hope, and you're able to have choice, and you're able to give belief. And I feel that's so important that we choose this in order to survive. And it helped me because I was able to choose a different path. I was able to take what I had learned and I thought, believe solidly was doing for my life until I developed a problem. Then I had to choose a different path. And once I chose that path to functional medicine, it changed everything for me. And now I feel that I now am living my freedom, and I'm living hope, and I'm giving this to others through my passions in healing the gut and working on the gut-brain connection, as well as mindset and stress reduction and focusing on lifestyle such as sleep and community, and just to be real and to really, really understand how people heal and really understand and get into how everything works, and to form a therapeutic partnership with them so that we can start where they are and take them to where they want to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate the message that you've given to us today. I did not understand the connections until you actually explained them. So thank you. I learned a lot this morning. So I want you to, if you could, talk about the gut health handbook that you're going to offer and how people can get in touch with you so that they can actually take advantage of that knowledge and wisdom that you have.
So the gut handbook is essentially looking at several things that you can do to help your gut. It includes several steps that you can do for a 30-day period of time where you're able to focus on food and getting rid of processed foods and getting rid of sugar, as well as focusing on things to establish your rhythms, with getting sunlight and having routines, with regularity with your food and with your sleep patterns, and talking about rhythms, because, we want to get back to what we were when we were back in other times, when we were, didn't have all these things, and we followed the light, and we were able to, wake up and go to bed with the sun and the moon. And, we're eating real food that weren't processed foods and a lot of processed sugars. And so just following those two things are really important. And there's other things that can help as far as how we can get our health back. But gut health is where it all starts. And so by focusing on our gut health, a lot of us don't have perfect gut health, and that's why we have a lot of problems. It's the number one thing that people come to their doctor with is problems with their gut. And now I realize that, I'm not going to give people 2 or 3 or 4 prescriptions to heal their gut, but just to follow simple things that they can do to help themselves. So I can be followed on LinkedIn at Philip Robert Mack, Live Functionally, and also Philip Robert Mack on Instagram. And my website is livefunctionally.com. So I say live functionally and live fully.
I love it. Thank you so much, Doctor. Really appreciate you being here. What a great message. Okay, everybody, there's an opportunity. And there it is right there. Go take a look. Download that. See the value in your life that you can apply today, go to the link, follow Dr. Phillip, do the things that he's talking about. Okay. So whether you're watching live or do it later, but I challenge you to do that within the next day or so, the next 24 hours. Go ahead and take that, because what we want to do now is take all of these theories, right? Because they're theories, you haven't applied them in your lives yet, but take these theories and start to do them. Okay. So the first thing is to click on this link, identify what the kinds of things that you can utilize from Dr. Phillip's expertise and wisdom. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Now, before we close, I'd like to see if the rest of the speakers are here and like to jump in and have a little impromptu. So yeah, it looks like we're kind of getting us all in here. We've heard powerful insights today about the one thing, the true source of power. But for many, the question is, how do I actually find my one thing? Where do I start? So what I'd like to do is throw this question out to the panel. Let's share a practical thing, habit, mindset, action, something that comes from your experience that someone could do today and become a pattern of activity to discover their one thing. This is not theory. This is practices they can take home and apply now. So I'd like to know who would like to go first. Boy, boom, Todd, go for it.
There's one thing I believe wholeheartedly we can do, and it's whoever out there is living a life that they don't like living, stop doing that. Because how are you going to find your one thing if you continuously do the things that are not your one thing? That is paramount. It's like the foundation of everything else that everybody now is going to be talking about. If you're living a life that you don't want to live, stop living that way. And that will eventually lead you to finding your one thing without question.
Love that. Thank you. It's a simple concept, really difficult to do. But you know what? We have the experts here who can help you. So thank you, Todd. Tom, how about you?
Yes, start with gratitude. Today's a great day to think about what you're grateful for. We all got up this morning. Never forget, some people didn't.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great point. Jerry, how about you?
Yeah, all of us are here today because of everything we have overcome in our lives. And sometimes we forget when we're in a storm, all the storms that we've already overcome. So the one thing is, you're stronger than you think. Go back and make a list of every challenge, every storm, every season, every obstacle that you did not think that you would get through, but you did. Write them down, look at them every day, and remind yourself you are stronger than you think.
Like that. That's a great idea. Okay. Rob, how about you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to pick up on something Todd said earlier. And if you want success, whether that be stopping doing the thing you shouldn't be doing to have the life you want, like Todd's talking about, or what Tom's talking about, what Dr. Phillip's talking about, and even what Jerry's talking about. My focus is helping salespeople and entrepreneurs have the business they dream of. And the way you do that is you use something that all humans have. And as far as I know, no other living creature has it. We have an imagination.
Ooh.
We can imagine something. I don't think any other living creature has that. Somebody gave us that for a reason. Whether you believe in God, you believe in a higher power, whatever it is, use your imagination to imagine what it is you want first. Once you've imagined that, so the success in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, the success in your career as a salesperson, like I say, that's my focus, but this applies to everything we're all saying. Once you've imagined it, you need to believe that it's already happened. Just like the Wright brothers have the credit for building the first airplane. They didn't invent flying, by the way. You notice I didn't say invent flying? Because the ability to fly always existed right back from the beginning of time. All they did was they had a belief that they could figure it out, and they would, and they did, and here we are all now flying around. So just like that, imagine what you want, believe it, and then make sure your thoughts are aligned to that. And if you do those things, you will be very successful. That's my advice.
Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
Dr. Phillip.
Wow, you guys are great. Certainly, everything you said is wonderful and so true. It's like, where do you start? And I think that belief has a lot to do with it. I think the power of mindset has a lot to do with it. I think you need to say to yourself that you're worth it. And I think a lot of us are not really aware of what's going on. So we're not even aware of things until things really happen to us. So with respect to our health, we don't really go to a doctor until we're really, really feeling pretty badly. And so I believe in prevention, because prevention is worth a pound to cure. You've probably heard of that. And I think that, we need to now kind of prepare ourselves for our 90th, year. In other words, we want to prepare for our decathlon now. And so we want to do things daily so that we're able to do the things we want to do when we get older. And it's kind of like that thing when we talk about health span versus lifespan, do we want to really, really live old, or do we want to make those years really, really count and live, basically our best life today? And so I think that we need to be aware of, what food does to our body, and we need to be able to do the things we need to do to kind of protect ourselves so that we're able to live healthy into our older years. So, and that takes belief, it takes courage, and it takes, being accountable to ourselves and to others. And so I feel that, just start today, and, don't lose your motivation. Don't wait to go to your doctor to get a bad diagnosis, because unfortunately, when we get that bad diagnosis, that's when we say, oh, I got to do something. Why wait? Why do it now? So
yeah, you know what? I think that's awesome advice. Coming back to what Todd was saying at the very beginning, if you recognize that you're not living the life that you want, just stop, right? So the question really for me, if I could, first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. The knowledge, the wisdom that you've, and the insights that you have and have been, delivering to the audience has been truly amazing. And I'm honored that you guys are here. As we talk about these things, if I were to put together like what you can do to find your one thing, listen to your interruptions, listen to the kind of thing that, Todd was talking about. If this is not the life that you want to live, then listen to that and stop. Then the second one, and we talked about this in some of the conversations, align with your core values. Well, guess what that means? You got to define them, right? Whatever that means for you, they're yours. They're your insights. That it's about how you want to live your life, which is the next step that, and it enables us to really figure out what the next point is, which is tasking yourself with a series of actions and test it through service. So if you can get out there and start doing something, right? It's not like you're going to immediately find your purpose, although it could happen. It could happen. Divine inspiration can jump down from anything. You'd be hit by lightning bolt. You can do it. It could happen. But the probability is that it's going to take some time and persistence to make it happen for you. That's going to require you to surround yourself with people just like the panel that we have today. So I invite you once again, please take advantage of the opportunities that have been presented to you today. So again, I want to thank everybody. And as we bring the summit to a close, I'm thanking the speakers for sharing their voices and their insights. We began with one fundamental question. What's your one thing, your true source of power? And, we talked about it. Power does not come from titles, wealth, or technology. It comes from the values you live, the belief you hold, and the way you choose to impact others. It's guided me personally. It shapes my professional mission. And it hopefully will help other people in my journeys as well. And I know that the rest of the panel feels the same way. So I leave you all with this. One, live from when you're Live from your one thing. Trust that life unfolds as it is intended. Keep learning, keep creating, keep serving, because when we live in alignment with that insight, we don't just find power, we share it. And let me say this one thing clearly: nothing will ever replace the brilliance of a human being who is living their one thing. That brilliance, your brilliance, isn't just for you, it's for the world you touch. So wherever you go from here, leave every room and every life better than you found it. Thank you, panel. Thank you, audience, for being here. Thank you for being part of today's Global Speakers Talk Summit. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.